In today's video, we're going to be recreating ALLEGRI'S 3511. If you do enjoy the tactics on this channel, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, and also comment below any more tactics you want to see, whether that be a manager recreation or just a random formation. Do let me know in the comments below. So the first team we're going to test with is going to be Spal over in the Italian Serie B, a team that are predicted to finish 13th in the league, and we have come out, flipped the script and won the league with 91 points. It's going to be Frasone coming in with 65 in second place. So a really dominant season over in the Italian Serie B. Not the best, I say not the best, it's an okay performance in the Italian Cup, bailing out against Lazio, which to be fair are in the Serie A. They're an established side. Quite a tough game. So to be fair, still a very, very good season. We scored 59 league goals and only conceded 15 with the 3 red cards. So a little bit of a discipline sort of blunder there, but I am going to go over ways you can make the side a little bit more disciplined. Obviously, you're going to lose a little bit of aggression, but just in case you get annoyed of getting the red cards. But to be honest, this tactic is all about obviously sitting back, soaking up the pressure and hitting on the counter attack. And the stats we got with this were absolutely incredible. I'm going to, there's one stat line which you're going to see on the thumbnail, and it surprised me even by how good I knew this tactic would have been. The fact that it's done this at the back is absolutely incredible. In terms of the team stats, we're going to feature in a few of them. That's going to be the most points per game at 2.39, most shots for at 567, fewer shots against at 253, fewest conceded at 15, and the most clean sheets coming in at 28, which to be honest, we do expect with this tactic. In terms of the data hub though, we are going to go and have a look. We're looking at 1.55 goals per game, but the real standout stat here is going to be the 0.39 conceded. I actually think that is a record for this channel. Absolutely incredible. And when you do see the tactic, you're going to understand why it is able to do this. The way it's sort of set up by me is very, very smart. It works really, really well. Pass completion is also quite good for a team like this. And the fact is, we scored enough goals to win the league, so it's not really an issue. The fact we're not scoring even 2, if not 3 goals a game. This tactic just does what it says on the tin. It soaks up the pressure, it hits on the counter, and it's really successful in doing so. In terms of the squad, we are going to have a quick rundown. I'm going to keep it real with you guys. I don't really know too many of the players in this team. But in terms of actual sheer amounts of goals, there's not going to be anything too crazy, especially in this save, because you've got to take into consideration, as well, that this is obviously a team that are predicted to finish 13th. So when we test with the bigger teams, which you are going to see in a second, we do score more goals, but even with sort of like an underdog team, this tactic can get enough goals to make you win league titles. So we've got 22, 10, 8, 7, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2. So to be fair, although there's not a lot of goals necessarily, there are a lot of contributions coming in from all over the field, which to be honest, in a system like this, you wouldn't usually expect to see, but clearly it just works really, really well. In terms of the assists, we've got 15, 9, 7, 5, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, then a lot of ones. So again, we're sort of looking at this point onwards for people that are going to get involved a lot. And I'm really happy to see that it is going to be a wing-back who is going to get the most assists, because the wing-backs in this system are so important. Literally the key part of this system. They are going to be complete wing-backs as well. And if you can, I wouldn't change them because they work so well. And we then go over to AC Milan in the Serie A, and as you can see, things do improve in terms of the goals scored. We scored 101 goals, conceded only 18, 0 red cards. We won the league with 98 points compared to Atalanta coming in with 82, Inter in 3rd place with 78, Lazio in 4th place this time with 76. We also won the Italian Cup against Inter Milan and the Italian Super Cup against Inter Milan. So had Inter Milan's number the entire season. The Champions League, we did okay in. Obviously, we got out of the groups. We matched up against PSG. They've got a lot of firepower. It's not too bad of a result, to be honest. In terms of the team stats, though, we've got most points per game at 2.58, most goals at 101, fewer shots against at 240, most shots for at 830, most dribbles made at 803, fewest conceded at 18, and the most clean sheets coming in at 24. So we are not only maintaining these 2 bottom stats, which we should be expecting with a tactic like this, but we're actually going out now and scoring the most goals, having a lot of shots against teams, which is really good to see. And that's the whole point of this tactic, guys. It's not going to be the most elegant tactic going forward, but it does create chances and it does score goals. And talking about scoring goals, we are going to look at the data hub right now as you look at 2.66 goals per game, which is a significant improvement. Obviously, the standards of players in this team is going to be the reason for that. Also being one of the favourites does help. 0.47 conceded, so still a very good defensive display. Pass completion is through the roof, 87%, so really a good season. I'm going to watch a few goals now from this AC Milan save. And there's no better game to watch than the derby against Inter Milan, in which it was a game where they did actually take the lead, I believe. It is going to be Halanoglu out on the left-hand side, into Barella, who takes a touch And yeah, they do actually take the lead. So this is actually quite good because it shows that for most defensive tactics, when you go a goal behind, it can be a little bit challenging to get back in. But I did switch to the attack and variant in this game, and you're going to see a little bit of the difference of how we manage to get back into this game. And we actually recovered it very well. As it is going to be Giroud who wins the flick on into Brahim Diaz, who's going to cut it back past two, back into Giroud. It's a very easy finish, but great play from Brahim, and the Giroud link up as well, obviously, with that flick on header, pretty much creating the goal. Build up again here now, then with Sailmakers out on the right-hand side, driving into the centre, a ball over the top, finds a gap in the defence, into Giroud, into the left-hand corner. And again, Giroud's one of them players. He reminds me very much like a Belotti, one of my favourite strikers last year. If you get him a chance in front of goal, he is going to score. He might not be the most quick, the most good with his feet, but if you get him a chance, he will put the ball in the back of the net. As you might see again here, it's going to be Theo Hernandez playing in that complete wing-back role. A little bit of a deflection. Again, very easy for Giroud, but it come at a pace. He had to finish it off, and he done the job. It's not over yet, though, as 2 more goals do obviously get scored. Sailmakers down the right-hand side, burns past his fullback. Ball inside into Brahim. I can't really explain what happened there. Poor bit of keeping from Onana. Again, we love the match engine, and it is going to be an easy tap-in for Diaz. Benacer now with the ball and into Tamori. A pretty straightforward set piece, to be honest with you. But I will show you the stats as well, just so you know it doesn't look. It wasn't a lucky game. We'll say that. As you can see, we dominated everything. Apart from possession, they played a full-strength team, 2.89 XG, 9 on target, 15 overall. We really were just the better team on the day. We got over to his current side, Juventus, and we actually managed to win a very big treble. We won the Serie A, the Italian Cup against Napoli, and also the Champions League, which I'm going to show you the highlights from, because for some reason, again, it's not showing in this tab. Do comment below if you know why that is. I might be doing something wrong. In terms of the goals scored, we had 86 goals scored, 18 conceded, and only 1 red card, ranking us the best of goals scored and also goals conceded. In terms of the league table, it's a 10-point difference that separates Juventus to Atalanta, who finish inside the 2nd place. Some big teams missing out on the top 4, actually. Lazio, Inter Milan, all missing out. Not good to see, or kind of good for us to see, I guess. But very unusual, but it is what it is. In terms of the team stats, though, we are going to go ahead and have a little look. We're going to have most points per game at 2.37, most goals at 86, fewest shots against at 250, most shots for at 754, most dribbles made at 724, fewest conceded at 18, and the most clean sheets at 25. So again, we're seeing exactly the same thing that we did at AC Milan. And also Spal, the first team in terms of these bottom 2, really good defensive records all throughout this entire testing phase. But with the slightly bigger teams, you are also able to outscore teams, making this the perfect sort of 3 at the back system. It really is a joy to use. And in terms of the data hub, we are going to go and have a look. 2.26 goals per game, pretty similar to the AC Milan sort of save. Conceded per game 0.47. Whatever we say, it's easily under half a goal a game that we're conceding, which is absolutely phenomenal. Pass completion at 86.09, so a good display there. And just in general, it was a really good season across all 3 saves. Obviously, in terms of success, the bigger teams got the more success, but he still won the Serie B with a team predicted 13th, so it can do it across any level. I'm not really showing you this game because there's loads of goals, but I'm going to show you the stats afterwards because it was a really dominant Champions League final, which it took us all the way in the 104th minute to actually get the goal in obviously extra time against PSG. A great ball from the wide area from Sandro. Vlahovic does finish it off in a very comfortable game, as we are going to see right now. A great team obviously coming in from Manchester City, but realistically, I mean, their bench as well. Obviously, they're starting players, but 49% possession, so we don't dominate the ball, but what we do dominate is the XG. 2.57 compared to PSG's 0.19, 10 shots on target, 23 shots overall, which is really impressive for a tactic that sets up, as you can see, quite defensively. We are now going to break down the tactic for you guys, but if you are enjoying today's video, please do leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and also get commenting below every single video you want to see, whether that be a tactic request, a rebuild, whatever it is. Do get commenting below, and I promise I'll have a little look at them. This is going to be ALLEGRI'S 3511, as you can see on the screen. I want to thank all of the names coming down right now. These are going to be new or existing Patreon members. If you wish to become a Patreon, you can by clicking the link in the description below. You get access to all 3 of these files: early tactic release, one-on-one help with your tactics, early video release, exclusive giveaways, and also much more. So do get involved. You can click that in the description below. But let's go ahead and talk about this tactic then. So it is based obviously around a 3-5-1-1, as it says. But the real key thing about this tactic is these 3 in the middle forming this sort of triangle, and also the complete wing backs. I honestly have tested this with fullbacks and also default wing backs, and they don't work half as good. So if you have got players that can play them, I would really advise playing the complete wingback because they work really well, especially in this system. But we're going to kick things off by going over the default version. Then we'll talk about the attacking one and a defending variant. But to start things off, mentality is going to be set to attacking. In possession, you're going to have fairly narrow pass into space, play out of defense, standard pass and directness, a higher tempo, run at defense, and mixed crosses. So you can see pretty much what the game plan is, right? There is a high press and tempo to obviously win the ball back with, but when we actually get the ball, it's not going to be tiki-taka play at all. It's going to be running at defense, counter-attack and style, by going sort of long ball if we have to. So it's not going to be like a Barcelona tiki-taka style, but it is going to work and it is going to score goals, which is the main part of the game. In terms of the transition, we're going to have regroup, counter, distribute quickly, distribute to the playmaker, and take short goal kicks. Again, the playmaker is going to get sort of the majority of the ball here because the keeper essentially is going to play it perfectly in the middle of these three. And it makes sense because they can obviously go wide with the ball, they can spread the play, they can even go back if they want to. Playing it in that area is the best option. And out of possession, we're going to have the higher defensive line, a high pressing line of engagement, much more often, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and that is going to be it for the team instructions. So it is pretty much set up to be a very sort of aggressive counter-attack and free at the backside. And in terms of the player roles, we are going to talk about them now. We're going to have a goalkeeper on defend on the default instructions, simply nothing. We've got a wide centre-back on the right, on defend, on shoot less often, and tackle harder. A ball-playing defender in the middle, on defend, on the default. On the left centre-back role, we've got a wide centre-back on defend, on shoot less often, and tackle harder. The DM in the middle is going to be on support. I did try him on defend, and that's okay for the defensive tactic, but for a nice balanced one, I would remain to have him on support, on tackle harder and mark tighter. The complete wingback on the left is going to be on attack, on take more risks, cross more often, and get the ball aimed at the centre. And it's exactly the same on the right-hand side, so you only need to copy one of them. We then went with two box-to-boxes because, to be honest, it worked the best in this system, and they just get the job really well. Obviously, box-to-box, essentially, it's a midfield player. I will just do a brief rundown that obviously not only does the defensive duties, but is going to get up and essentially play in these sort of areas here when you are really attacking. So having two midfield players that can not only defend, but also go up and attack makes it very hard for the other teams to sort of defend them counter-attacks. The box-to-box on the left is going to be on support, on run wide, and get further forwards. And it's going to be exactly the same for the right-hand sided one. So essentially, these will get almost in sort of shadow striker areas when you do counter-attack, which works really, really well. Especially in this team, if you've got the likes of a Pogba, something like that, a player who has got a little bit of flair, it does work really well. We then go up the field to an attacking midfielder on roam from position, and to finish it off, the advanced forward on the default instructions. I didn't really need to have shooter often. He scored lots of goals anyway. But if you feel like you're not having enough shots at goal, which never was an issue for me, that is something you could look to have on. And that is going to be the 3-5-1 broken down. We are now going to go over the attacking and the defensive variants. These are basically two things I like to include in the videos where if you are in a game and you're trying to chase a game, you can change to the attacking. If you're trying to defend, you can change to the defending variant. It just makes your life easier. And obviously, if you are a Patreon member, you can download all three. If not, you can obviously copy them click for click, which is still why I do this in the videos. So you're not forced to become a Patreon member. But the attacking variant, to be honest, is going to look very, very similar because wanted to still have that free at the back style where it is still a counter-attacking style. Like I could have easily lowered the pass and directness, maxed out the tempo even more and play a tiki-taka style, but then it's not a tactic based around this manager, is it? So all I've done in terms of changing the player roles in the attacking variant is added a deep lying playmaker on support, on tackle harder and mark tighter. Essentially, I had him in here because he's going to be a little bit more sort of risky with the passes he plays. He's going to go a little bit more long, and he's just going to be a little bit more progressive on the ball. And for me, that seals out that midfield as quite an attacker-minded trio. In terms of the mentality, it's going to remain on attacking. In possession, we're going to have fairly narrow, pass into space, pretty much the same stuff we're seeing. We have got run at defense and also this time be more expressive on. In transition, it's going to be exactly the same, but we have now got some counter pressing on, not just the regroup, and we are still countering with it. This is to maximize the intensity of this tactic, really get in the opposition's face, win the ball back, and when we do win the ball back, hit directly on the break. And to finish it off, we are going to have the much higher defensive line. Now, again, can't stress this enough. This is something you change to in the middle of a game. I wouldn't recommend going into a game like this unless you're a couple goals down on aggregate and you need to chase it from the get-go. But only change to this if you're desperate for a goal in the game, because the much higher defensive line is really good for attacking, that you can be vulnerable at the back. So just be aware when you do obviously deploy this. And going over to the last tactic, it is going to be the defensive variant. So again, this is the normal one. This is now going to be the defensive one. So as you can see, there are a few changes. I'm not going to talk about the changes that went back from the attacking variant. Obviously, you know what they're going to be. The DM comes back, etc., etc. But the 3 changes, the box-to-boxes simply now both go onto the default instructions. We don't want them getting further forwards. We don't want them running wide, because we are defending a game. We can't afford to have players running up the field pretty much like headless chickens. We can't afford to do it. We've then got 2 complete wing-backs who do stay in that role, but they drop to a supportive duty, and they are exactly the same instructions. So I'm going to read out 1, and that's going to be take fewer risks, cross more often, cross from the byline, aim the cross at the centre, dribble less, and shoot less often. Now, they are quite restricted. I am aware of that, but at the end of the day, they are needed in this system because they provide the width at the back, and just having them a little bit more restrictive duty means they're going to be a lot more defensively minded. So essentially, we are going to have almost like a back 6 here, which is really, really good for sealing out games. A balanced mentality in possession. We've gone slightly more direct, still with the standard tempo. Nothing selected here at all. Nice and plain. Obviously, we don't want to go too expressive when you are defending a game out. In transition, we're going to have regroup, counter, still distribute quickly because I want to have that sort of edgy side to the point where we can counter and score a goal. But if you are really trying to seal a game out, you could obviously have it on slow the pace down. And out of possession, we've actually dropped the line to a standard, still got the high pressing line and the much more often. But we've dropped the line a little bit, just so we're a little bit more balanced across the whole field and not too far pushed up. And that is going to be ALLEGRI'S 3-5-1-1 broken down with 2 variants as well. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you have, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, drop a little comment on what you thought of the tactic, whether you liked it, whether you didn't, and also some ideas. I'll see you what it's going to be on Friday for another video.